I think sometimes when life feels chaotic, our homes and our eating starts to reflect that. For me, the last few weeks have been a bit of a mixture. Some healthy meals, some McDonald's, some lovely moments, some overwhelm, which has resulted in a house that is starting to affect me mentally. So today I'm trying to reset things and bring some order into the chaos. Not perfectly, just realistically. In today's video, I'm getting back into my habit stacking routines, doing some cooking and some food prep, sorting the living room, talking honestly about tiredness, comfort eating, overwhelm and perfectionism, and basically showing you what real life looks like for me at the moment. When I got home from Leeds, the most important thing for me was sorting some healthy food and getting straight back into my habit stacking routines. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. And just to fill you in, the last few weeks for me have been a bit hectic as I've been living at a friend's house, looking after her pussycats after she was rushed into hospital. She's out now and much better, so I'm back home. I think routines become even more important when our life feels unsettled. And if I have food prepared, then I'm more likely to eat healthily. And as you know, I am trying to eat more healthily. Not perfectly. I'm realising that I don't think it's possible to change habits and become perfect overnight. Not that I'll ever be perfect. But I think it is important to become aware of our habits, and there have still been a few McDonald's visits. And for me, it seems that this is what real change looks like. Not suddenly becoming perfect overnight, much as I would like to, but slowly becoming more aware of my patterns of behaviour. One of the biggest things that helps me eat better is reducing friction and making things as easy as possible for me. If healthy food is already made, I'm far more likely to eat it. So this is why I prioritised cooking. On the day I got home, I had an Ocado delivery. And despite being incredibly tired, I was really proud of myself. I made a stir fry and I filmed every single bit very diligently. And then right at the end, I realised I'd switched my camera on, but I'd forgotten to press record. So unfortunately, you're just getting the end bit. It was one of the stir-fry meal deals that I've mentioned before. This time I got turkey strips, a ramen vegetable mix, a ramen miso soup mix, and some peanut pad thai noodles as the noodles. So what I did was I stir-fried the turkey, Then added the vegetables and stir-fried those. And while that was happening, I didn't actually use the noodles that came with the offer. I saved the noodles for another meal because I had some dried rice noodles in the cupboard that needed eating. So I cooked those while I was stir frying the turkey and the vegetables, and then I added the miso broth and heated it through and added the noodles and mixed everything together. It was absolutely gorgeous. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The next day I went straight into my habit stacking routines. I drank my water, washed up, cleaned my teeth, and cycled for 5 minutes. I was so tempted not to do it because the voice in my head was saying, oh, you've got so much to do today, you haven't got time to do that. But I made myself do it. While I was cycling, I suddenly noticed how many cobwebs were hanging from the ceiling, and I thought, well, that's glamorous. And yes, I was singing along to my upbeat playlist, because sometimes you just have to create your own energy. While I was cycling, the washing that I'd put on earlier had finished spinning, so after I'd cycled, I hung that outside. I really love this time of the year when washing can dry outside. I love the smell. I think it's the little ordinary things like this that makes life special. Then I came in and had breakfast. Now, bizarrely, on the hottest day of the year, I had porridge. Don't ask me why. Well, 2 reasons. One, I had a manky banana that needed eating, and 2, I felt in need of something comforting. I mashed the manky banana with some cocoa powder, a tablespoon of flax seeds, 1/3 of a cup of porridge oats, and some oat milk. And then I bunged it in the microwave for 2 minutes. I'm sorry, I forgot to film it. When I'm tired, I crave comfort, in particular comfort food. And that's when my willpower disappears. I can usually cope with hunger or temptation, sometimes both. But throw tiredness into the mix, and that's my downfall. And like I said earlier, I think it's learning our own patterns of behaviour that can help us get on top of the bad habits that we're trying to break. After breakfast, I made a feta, spinach and tomato frittata, so I'd have something ready for lunch. I love frittatas because they're so versatile. You can have them for breakfast, lunch or dinner. Works well for all of them, and you can bung anything in them and serve them with a variety of things, anything from baked beans or tomatoes, mushrooms, salad, chips, you name it, you can have it. And if you haven't discovered frozen onions yet, they're life-changing. They save time, tears, waste, and I think possibly sanity. I sorted the onions, and once they were softened, I added the chopped tomatoes. And while I was cooking those, I put the spinach in the microwave to cook for 3 minutes. I let the spinach cool a little bit, and then I squeezed out the excess liquid, and I chopped half of it and popped that in with the onion and tomato mixture. I then whisked together 4 eggs with some salt and pepper and poured that on top, and then stirred it all up and sprinkled the top with half a pack of chopped feta cheese. Then I popped a lid on and turned the heat down to low and left it for 10 minutes. Then I came back and tipped it out onto a plate and then slid it back into the pan and put the lid back on and left it for another 5 minutes on low heat. Once it was cooked, and this bit I didn't film, I'm afraid, I divided it into thirds and I wrapped each bit up and popped the individual bits in the freezer. And then I did the same again with the last of the ingredients that I had. It probably would have made more sense to do it in a big pan, but I'm tired, so my brain isn't working properly. Once my food was prepped and ready, I decided it was time to tackle the living room. Last time I was home, I managed to do the bathroom, the kitchen and my bedroom. Although the kitchen is my nemesis. It's a constant battle. I clean it and then I decide I need a cup of tea or cook a meal, and then it's messy again. The kitchen is definitely the room that I struggle with the most to keep tidy. But today I intended tackling the living room and the TV room. Although, as always, it took me much longer than I'd expected. And so I haven't got round to the TV room yet. And the living room actually took me 2 days, although not 2 full days. It was just 2 half days because it's so hot here at the moment. By the time it gets to late morning or lunchtime, it's just too hot to do anything, and I'm tired as well. The living room is where I spend most of my time now. I work in the living room, sitting in this chair that I'm in at the moment, facing out, and all I can see is mess. It's just visual overwhelm. And then in the evening, I go through to the TV room to relax, but because it's a mess, I don't fully relax. All the piles around me are whispering, "You should sort me. You should move me. You should deal with me." And after a while, it stops feeling restful. And this YouTube journey hasn't looked anything like I thought it would. happy. When I first had the idea of doing YouTube, I had this vision in my head. I imagined beautifully tidying and cleaning whole rooms, slow cinematic shots, and then zhuzhing them up afterwards, adding lovely finishing touches, beautiful reveals, perfect little montages. And has that happened? No, I've given up on that. I love watching those sorts of videos, but I don't know if I'll ever reach those giddy heights. So I'm just showing what is going on right now. And the great thing is that many of you have said that's what you enjoy about my videos. So I am so grateful to you all. Thank you so much. There's no doubt about it. These videos are definitely real. They might not be anything else, but they are real. So apologies if I seem to keep repeating myself. Sorting, tidying, resetting rooms. But that's just my life at the moment. And for me, this is a really big thing. Because I didn't realise just how much of a perfectionist I actually am. I genuinely thought I'd let my perfectionism go years ago, but I hadn't. I still have this underlying belief that if I can't do things perfectly, then somehow I've failed. So now I'm just trying to let go of perfectionism completely, throw it out the window, and just do what I can when I can. And the living room was an absolute tip. It had basically become a dumping ground for when I've been travelling backwards and forwards to Leeds. Come through the door, dump everything, intending to tidy it away later, and then get caught up in doing other things, and then ending up packing again and out of the door to go back to Leeds. And because this is where I work when I'm at home, I think it was really starting to affect me mentally, because all day long I've been sitting looking at clutter. So I just worked through the room slowly, just going from pile to pile, taking things out of the living room and putting them into the rooms where they belonged. Although I must confess, that's all I did. I didn't actually put them away properly. So now the living room might be beautiful, but the rest of the house is a mess. I suppose you win some and you lose some. I also assembled a console table, which is this one behind me. Actually, I have my coffee here in one of my Alex Clark mugs. The link is in the description if you haven't got one already. I'm on the Pussycat one today. Oh, that's better. So yes, I've finally assembled this console table. I must have had it sitting there looking at me for a month, possibly even 2 months. I won't list it because it's just a cheap one that I got off Amazon, because ultimately I'd like shelving, built-in shelving here, and I bought this one because I just needed something functional that fit the space, because it's a narrow opening, both width and depth, and it was a nightmare to put together, and it's not very well made. So even though it wasn't expensive, it wasn't value for money. I mean, things don't have to be expensive to be good, but that wasn't good, so I won't recommend that. And putting it together was harder than it should have been. Normally I like putting things together. I love assembling IKEA furniture and things like that. But because I was tired, it was harder. I did things like drop screws, understood the directions. It just took longer than it should have done, and it was really hard work, because I think tiredness, for me anyway, makes everything harder. And I am tired. I'm very tired. It's been a long few weeks. I haven't had what I'd call a proper day off for ages, and even though I was hoping to have at least one day, if not 2 days off this weekend, because of the heat and because I wanted to do the living room, I spread it out over several days, so I've had a couple of afternoons off, but that's all. So I'm not as tired as I was, but I am still tired. I mean, I have done some lovely things. I've loved travelling backwards and forwards through Yorkshire. April and May are beautiful months. The hedgerows, the blossom, the trees bursting into leaf. It's been lovely to observe. But even good things can leave you tired. And after finishing the console table, I was barely halfway through the living room, but I was so tired I could barely function. So I went to bed for an afternoon nap, even though it was only lunchtime. I didn't even want to eat. I was just so tired. And then I relaxed for the rest of the day because it was just too hot to do anything else. The next morning, after my morning routine, I had strawberries, Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds and a tablespoon of sunflower seeds for my breakfast. For me, British strawberries, when they're in season, are one of life's greatest joys, along with asparagus and cherries and peaches. I just love the summer fruits and the summer foods. Before getting back to the living room, I made some peanut noodles so I'd have something ready for dinner because I knew I'd be tired. I've never made them before, but they were so delicious. It was proper comfort food, but more or less homemade. What I did was I sautéed some broccoli and some pak choy in the pan, and while that was cooking I mixed up the sauce. I actually mixed it in one of the bowls I intended serving it in to save washing up. I used peanut butter, a little bit of sesame oil, some soy sauce, some rice vinegar, a tiny little bit of maple syrup. Oh, and before I started cooking the vegetables, I sautéed a little bit of garlic and ginger just to cook them through, and added that to the sauce mix. I stirred it all together, and then when the vegetables had cooked for a little bit, I poured it on top. It did go quite thick very quickly, so I added some water and then just stirred it until I got the consistency I wanted. Once I got the consistency I wanted, I added the peanut noodles that I'd got in the stir-fry meal deal, and then just mixed it all together. I did only use one of the pak choy because it looked like a lot, but it cooked down. So with hindsight, if I do it again, which I think I will because I enjoyed it so much, I will use both of the pak choy. And it's yet another thing that I'm learning. Comfort food doesn't have to mean takeaways. I can prepare easy meals at home in advance that are there for the end of the day when I need that comfort. Then it was back to the living room. I didn't want to, but I needed to do it before it got too hot. And then at some point, I don't know when, while I was videoing, my SD card ran out. That's the card in my camera that records everything. So no idea when it ran out, but at some point footage is going to stop. I will get the hang of this camera videoing lark at some point. So that was my other little disaster. One thing I am pleased about though is the cable management box that I've got. Got it from Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description because it's absolutely fantastic. It's basically a plastic box with sockets, plug sockets in, and slots for wires. It also has what's it, HDMI is it? So you can plug in things like phone chargers. And because before that I just had such a pile of cables, I don't think I videoed it. As I say, I was tired, so I haven't done a lot of things I should have done. But yeah, I had a huge pile, a mess of wires. It was untidy, and it was probably a fire hazard, to be honest. So now they're all in this cable management box, and it has a lid, so it's all neat and tidy. I do need to tidy it slightly, in as much as just tidy the wires that are coming in and out of it. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. And I do have another extension which I use for when I'm editing, so that can plug in. I've got a double socket, so that can plug into the other one while I'm editing. So I've finally finished the room. It's not perfect. It's far from Pinterest or Instagram worthy. It's not styled perfectly. In fact, it's barely styled at all. I've just put things on surfaces. But it's neat and it's calm, and that's all I want for now. I do still have one pile. That is a condensed pile, but that is things that work that needs to be done. So I should be hopefully working my way through that pile this week. So that's it for now. As I said, I'm slowly learning that resetting your life isn't a big dramatic transformation that happens in a half-hour YouTube video. It's hundreds of small, ordinary things done consistently, whilst dealing with the messy middle and the thoughts that are going on in your head. So I'd love to know, when your life gets stressful, does your house go to pop too? And am I the only person that forgets to press record when videoing? If you're trying to create a calmer, healthier, less overwhelming life, and you haven't done so already, then please hit the subscribe button, and then you won't miss any of my future videos. I don't think changing your life is about perfection. I think it's just about taking better care of yourself, one day at a time. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.